actually going to get on the water together?
I don't know. Once we shut all this stuff down, but you tell me. But hold on one second. We'll get this thing started. And we are back. Here I am, Fly Navarro with the No BS World Tour after a 2-week hiatus. Bunch of crazy stuff going on in the fly zone fishing world. We had 2 different global tournaments going on. Today, I've got Jim Root joining me, or actually joining us. It's not joining me, it's joining us. Jimmy Root, how the hell are you?
Fly. It's good to see you, man.
Good to
How
see
you been?
you. Well, other than lockdown in my house, I'm doing good, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
welcome to the party.
I see Abdullah Anif all the way from the Maldives is joining us. Good to see you, Abdullah. Um, and let's see, I got this window open and I got that window open. So now we can start talking to people and letting people chime in. So while I do that, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
All right. So, I'm native New Yorker and born and raised. I've been fishing my entire life. Growing up in rural upstate New York, we didn't have a whole lot to do back then. So, we had this amazing fishery that ran through my hometown, and I really fell in love with the sport there. Um, Wrote a book about
Wait a second.
smallmouth.
You gotta listen. Animate yourself. You're
Yeah.
making it sound so horrible. So I took up fishing.
Well,
Come
I mean, hey, you
on!
got to give me a little bit of a break. I've been trapped up here, and I'm starting to get a little bit of cabin fever. Um, but yeah, it's been a challenging 7 months to say the least here in New York State. Uh, I mean, heck, for a little while we couldn't even leave the damn house.
Well,
So, but I know I don't want to preach to the choir too much. I know a lot of people are going through the same stuff right now.
we're all going through it, but so you start. When did you start fishing?
3 years old.
3 years old. You got me
Yep.
beat. I started when I was 5.
Uh, yeah, I caught the first fish I caught was a bullhead. It was like 12 inches. I still got the photo of it. It's pretty great. Um, but
Really?
yeah, I've got some pretty cool like memorabilia from when I was younger. I found this big tote that my dad had kept after he passed away, and there's a picture in there. We had to draw what we wanted to do when we got older in the first grade, and I drew a picture of me fishing. And it's a crazy, set of circumstances that actually led me to be able to do this for a living. But it's pretty wild that I have this picture of this that I drew with a crayon on construction paper back in the early '80s. Not trying to give away how old my ass is, but I'm no kid anymore, that's for sure.
No. Hey, listen. None of us are. None of us
Yeah,
are.
I'm a kid at heart though, and I've got some of my cameramen in their early 20s that have pulled me aside before and go, "Man, you are hard to keep up with." And but I go hard, that's for sure when I do go, but when I'm on my downtime, I enjoy it, that's for sure.
That's the biggest thing. You got to enjoy and you got to push hard. That's what we do.
Yeah, work hard, play hard, you know.
Well, luckily for us, fishing is our work and our play, so that's a good thing.
Definitely. The one thing I'm missing right now is I haven't had a chance to pull on anything that hurts in a long time. I love smallmouth, I really do. But when you are fighting a GT or a sail or a tuna, there's something about the second you hook a big fish and this is going to be a while, that it's just not the same. Definitely not the same.
I know I grew up fishing for snook and tarpon here at home in Florida, and then my career took me after chasing after bigger fish, blue marlin, sailfish, black marlin, giant tuna. So it really broadened my horizons on going on after all that. But I still enjoy um, fishing for bass. I love fishing for trout. I don't know why. It's such a big deal for me. So I'm going to Colorado here next month, actually in a couple of weeks, and Hopefully, do a little trout fishing there, and then depending on what happens at the end of the year, me and my girlfriend are going to. Oh my gosh, I lost Patagonia. We're supposed to go to Patagonia to
Nice.
go trout fishing down there. If things open up.
Yeah,
So
that shouldn't suck at all.
no, looking forward to it. Way
Yeah.
looking forward to it. So um, now you grew up on the Great Lakes, correct?
Not far from them, upstate New York is, if you're going to live in New York, upstate is the perfect place to be because you're centrally located. I'm 3 hours roughly from everything. 3 hours from the city, 3 hours from Erie, 3 hours from the St. Lawrence River, 3 hours from Champlain. So really, I can fish anywhere I want in a day. Sometimes we even fish two places in the same day.
Nice, nice. But
Yeah, I
you
mean,
go ahead.
no, I mean, it really is. It's a fisherman's paradise. There are so many beautiful pieces of water in this state alone that I could live my whole life and only fish here and probably never hit them all.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
I was just talking with Mr. Carl Allen a couple of weeks ago, and that's where he started fishing was in upstate New York.
Wow. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. I didn't know that until we got a chance to hang out, and I asked him, "So how'd you get into fishing?" Oh, I would fish the lakes up in upstate New York. So
That's not something you hear every day.
it's I didn't know it was such a epicenter of the sport fishing world.
I mean, for about 6 months out of the year, it's incredible. It
Okay.
really is. From, halfway through April until like weather depending. I mean, the colder it gets, the better it gets, but also nobody wants to be out there when it's freaking 15 degrees with a wind chill of like, single digits. It's just miserable. No, I don't care who you are. That's not fun to fish in.
Well, you know
But
what?
no one says, "Oh, I can't wait to go out there and just totally freeze to death." You know?
Well, it's funny because one of my bucket lists is to ice fish. I've never ice fished before. I have never ice fished, and my biggest thing is
I would love to take you.
I just want to say I've done it. I just want to say I've done it because you hear all these great stories. Truth be told, is when I grow up, I want to be like grumpy old men. Uh, I want to be, I'm halfway there, so I want to be able to put a fish in my friend's car. Actually, I've already done that before.
Man.
you
Yeah,
know,
ice fishing, especially when you haven't done it before, it's I'm not sure how to explain the heart attack you get the first time you hear the ice breathing because it feels like it's cracking underneath your feet.
really.
Oh, and sometimes it'll sound like thunder. It'll boom so loud, and it's like, get me the hell out of here right now. So it's a challenge for me, even though I've done it. I try to do it for like maybe a week max, and then that's it. I'm like, no, I'm not going back again. I did my trip
You're
for the year. That's it. I'm out.
you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm about calculated risks, bro. Going to Guatemala, yeah, absolutely. Dying on the ice, not a chance in hell. No, not happening.
It's funny. I got to give a big shout out right here to Billy Bohr, the big skipper. Me and Billy fished together for 4 years. He was my captain when I lived down in Venezuela. Him and I did a lot of cool fishing together. Huge Red Sox fan, and I'm a huge Yankees fan. So every summer
Me
we used
too.
to have some great stories. Great stories. So, and then I see John King here. He's also saying, Canada giant tuna fishing. You are a grumpy old man. He comes fishing with me every year um, up to Nova Scotia to catch some giant tuna. So, have some great times up there with some really big fish.
Oh, I've seen your lives up there. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's very amazing. It's the fishing up there is, and it's so nice that um, we have the Wi-Fi really close or the cell service, so that we can actually broadcast live while we're catching fish. You
Yeah.
know,
I've never been up there, but that's like Nova Scotia, right?
that's exactly it, Nova Scotia.
And my understanding is they get one fish a year.
You're allowed to harvest one fish a year.
Right. Right. But they
But
have to say in the morning, I'm gonna go get my one.
and then that's it.
Yeah.
The first one you catch is yours.
Right.
So you can't cull through them. Whatever you got, you got.
Yeah. So I know a friend of mine was telling me an interesting story about how he was on a boat and they had done that. They said, today's our day. They had their fish picked out. They put the bait out, and this little one, when I say little one, it was probably like a 500 pounder, came and snagged it right out of the fish's mouth, just like that. And the captain was just like, "Well, that's it.
That's
That's our
but
fish."
but it's funny. It's everybody thinks, oh, I want a 1,200 pounder because you get you're selling it by the pound, but sometimes you get a better price when they're 400 to 600 pounds.
Huh.
So it's you don't necessarily want a 900 pound fish. You want a fish that has the best fat content. So you never
Interesting.
know until you catch them and they check them and then send them out. I have wait a second, John King. I have caught 16, but yet to touch. Yet to touch what, John? We let you touch the tuna every year. I don't know what. But yeah, that's exactly the way it works. Is the days you go out, your recreational days are your recreational days, and you're allowed to catch and release three. And when you go to harvest, you're allowed one.
Wow.
And the first one you catch, that's it. That's it. That's your fish. So,
So I get asked this question all the time, and it's one of my favorite questions, but I want to ask you. Time of year not being a factor, right? If you could go anywhere and target any species in any particular way right now, uh, where would that be? What would you be doing?
oh my gosh. I still have some bucket list fish, and they're really weird. Like I said, I want to go ice fishing. I really want to catch a golden dorado in the Amazon. Um, I've had some great opportunities to catch some great fish in some great locations. And when I say catch them, I don't care about winding them in. Winding fish in just, it does not do it for me. Uh, I love the hunt. I love the prep work that goes in. I love watching people. Most of the stuff I do now with bill fishing, I coach. People call me up and I coach them on how to properly pitch bait, how to pitch bait blue marlins and stuff like that. I had 2 or 3 trips this year that I had to cancel because of COVID and all that. I had one trip I had planned to go to Cape Verde. It was a doctor and his son. Um, so the actually uh, winding in of the fish, give or take. The trout stuff, the golden dorado, that's cool because I enjoy the casting. I grew up casting off the docks, off seawalls, so I like to get into that whole. Okay, you see that tree right there? I'm gonna get it to as close to that tree. I'm gonna hit that leaf and not get tangled up. That I enjoy.
Yeah.
Um,
So the
but
technical
the
side of
the
it.
technical side. But when I go and to some of these really remote places, I like doing it because I get to watch it. I don't know if you've watched, I've interviewed him a couple times. Fish Like Tarzan.
Mm-mm.
He's 11 years old. I've interviewed him live and I've interviewed him not live on my podcast. And I got the chance to go fishing with him and his dad about a month ago. And it was so cool to go fishing, uh, and watch um, an 11-year-old how they see stuff. And that's what I enjoy. That's the best part for me of going fishing with people, is that I get to watch it through their eyes. When I go with somebody who's never caught a blue marlin before, and I get a chance to teach them how to pitch bait, I teach them how to do all that stuff, and I get to see it through their eyes. And that, to me, I can't replace. That's what I love
Right.
to do. That's what I love to do. I very rarely fish tournaments anymore. I fish a couple here at home. There's a couple I fish out of the country only, mainly because of the fact that I'm being invited by the tournament directors. I don't want that kind of pressure. It's not, and it's not a pressure for me. It's the pressure that everybody else puts on themselves. I enjoy the sport. I enjoy spending time, and that to me is a big deal. That to me is a big deal because a lot of people in the tournament scene, they forget what the actual the love that we have for it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so for me, it's a big deal to be able to look at it through somebody else's eyes. Like going to Colorado, I'm going with my girlfriend. She loves it. She's not big into trolling, but she's huge into doing the casting. And all right, and we're back. That was my Wi-Fi dropped. That was
Welcome
this.
to COVID problems.
And it's one of those things. The router is saying you're connected, but there's no internet to it. So is it one of those things that it's a complete drop, or just on my end? So it's just on my end, but we're back, and we were in the middle of some pretty cool stuff, unfortunately. And let's see if we can. We don't get everybody back on at the same time, so hopefully they'll jump back on. I'll give them a couple of minutes and see what happens. But we were talking about best places to fish, or where we want to go fishing. What are we looking
Yeah.
forward to? Hold on, my camera even shut off. Check that out. There we go.
Yeah, one thing I found is that I I think it's encouraging for people to not think of this as permanent. Like we're all going to be able to travel again. We're all going to be able to continue to, explore, go on adventures, see the world. And so I think it's important to have people maintain that optimism, that, continue to dream, continue to want to see new shit, meet new people, catch bigger fish, chase Dorado, or, 10-inch brookies in Colorado, whatever it is you're passionate about or looking forward to doing. So
That's the biggest thing. It's what you enjoy doing.
yeah,
That's and really, it's one of those things. Right now, I was supposed to actually be in Madeira last week. I was supposed to be fishing in Madeira for 2 weeks, and I was here, which I'm very happy to be home. I spent some time with my girl. I spent some time with my dog, and we've had a great time. And I've gotten a bunch of stuff done, stuff that I would have never imagined. I love projects, so I continually look for new projects to do. And I just lost you again. Am I still live, or did I just lose him? No, I'm still live. I just lost Jim. Call ended. Facebook is still running. I lost you on that one, and I didn't lose Wi-Fi. I'm still broadcasting.
well,
Man, what is up with this today? Trying to have a regular old fishing conversation, we can't
I
have it.
know.
I got to do it once again, and we're back. I got it. I can't. I got to
And
do
we
it.
are.
Exactly. We just got to keep going. I'm like, oh my God, we lost it again. And next thing you know, I look and I'm like, wait a second. No, we didn't lose it again. I just lost you.
Yeah. Well, I just moved and I just got new Wi-Fi, thank God, because in the first part of this whole thing, when it happened, I have this cabin up in the middle of nowhere. It's on like 200 acres, very remote. Great if you need to prep for the zombie apocalypse or whatever the hell else may happen. Not so good if you need Wi-Fi, however. And it was so bad. And of course, internet workers are considered only essential in so much as like if it's really important and they need a repair service, fine. But installing new service, not essential. So I couldn't even get them to come and upgrade it. So for like 2 months, I'm struggling with this dial-up connection. It was just, oh my God. Yeah.
Dial up. Dial up. So actually, somebody's just asked a question. Richard Marney is asking you a question. Says, Jim, everybody has a fishing idol. Who is yours?
Oh man, it's crazy. It's so funny. I've never been asked that question. I had three. When I was growing up, I really loved Kevin Van Dam and Mark Zona, both of them.
Okay.
I loved Kevin so much that my friends would call me JVD because it was like I imitated him so much. Whatever I would study him, what he did, I wanted to do, and I really kind of became a power fisherman because of him. Zona I loved because I felt like he and I shared this whacked out love for smallmouth that it was like I just wanted to do that more than any other type of fishing. And then when I started to get into competitive fishing, I kind of idolized Brandon Palaniuk. And I'll never forget my first year that I fished competitively, I was a co-angler and I drew him. And so I was fishing behind him, and the whole time I was just like, holy shit, is this really happening right now? Like, I'm really fishing with him? And it was, it was this moment where I switched gears, and I knew for a fact that I had to leave what I was doing and just do this full time. It happened that day on the St. James River with Brandon.
Wow.
He's kind of to blame.
You know what? It's decisions that we make in life, and you can't blame it. It's not. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Oh no! Anyone who thinks that it's not a job is nuts. Like, and sometimes it's the worst job because we have such little control over that. You sometimes, no matter how bad you want to, and I've had this experience with, now that I have my own TV show and we are filming, they are the star of the show. The fish are the freaking main attraction. And if they don't want to play ball, you're screwed. You can't you're like, come on, just give me one. Just give me one. No, not happening. Not today. Guatemala, case in point. I was there like 5 days for Pacific Sales. First day, we only got one. Second day, we only got two. Third day, I think we got one also. So the fourth day, we were just supposed to film horseback riding up volcanoes and stuff like that, but we didn't really have enough fish, and the ones we had weren't even really that big. So we had to fish the last day, and they asked me on the way out, what are you gonna do if today's a bust? I said, I'm gonna have to stay. What else can I can't leave here?
Yeah.
4 days deep. You're gonna have to stay here. So it's tough. Sometimes it's like you just can't control when the next one is gonna happen. That's why you have to try and cherish when it does.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. I did a show once, on tarpon fishing. It was supposed to be 3 days, and we finally caught a tarpon on the last hour of the last day. And okay, we can make a show out of it. Next thing you know, I get a phone call. It's like, hey, we don't have enough. You got to come back. And which it wasn't a big deal for me because I was able to, it was just a drive down. But we ended up having to fill it up with some other stuff. So, but like you said, Guatemala, last thing you want to do is fly out. You know?
Yeah, that wasn't an option.
It's never an option.
No.
It's never an option.
I'm stuck there. But thank God, the only show I ever had that was a total bust was my tuna show on the Cape, because we got there and it was crazy good. And the first day, the fish just didn't cooperate. We didn't catch one. All we caught was one thresher shark. And I was with Tyler McAllister, he's a badass tuna fisherman. That's NB Cynthia. He's a harpooner, very successful tuna guy out of the Cape. And then next thing you know, we get a phone call that they closed the quota. There's nothing we can do. You're done. You pack it up and go home, because it's probably going to be 2 or 3 weeks before they open it again.
Trust me, I'm on the HMS panel, so I know. The HMS is the one that puts out the quota. So, all right, here's another question for you, coming again from Richard Marney. Stranded on a deserted island, and you have one lure. What is it?
Swim bait. Hands down.
Hands down, swim bait.
Yeah. My favorite.
Any particular swim bait?
No, I don't care.
Okay.
The bigger ones, though. Nothing under like a 6-inch.
Okay.
No difference. I'll never forget. I asked Brandon one day, "What's your favorite lure? Favorite way to fish?" And he was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "Nope, swim bait," because it's such an innocent cast and retrieve, and the bite is so violent. And it's true. It is really, once you get into big bait fishing, that is a hard addiction to get away from. There's no escape. That is the greatest way to fish, in my opinion.
Okay.
They will always eat it. It's like in their DNA. They see this one fish just kind of lazily moseying along. There's something that short circuits in their brain, and they're just like, I gotta have that. I have to have it.
So I'm gonna continue down this same road. If you had one species,
oh man, I don't know. So the first time I ever went tarpon fishing, I went to Boca Grande Pass. Not right. It's like maybe it would have been like 3 weeks ago. That peak.
No, I know exactly what.
Dance.
I was just talking to somebody about Boca Grande and at 1 o'clock. I was talking about Boca Grande at 1 o'clock.
So I was with a friend, Rich Damianos, who guides down there, and he was like, "I'd like you to come down and try this out." And I had never caught a big tarpon. I'd heard about it. Man, and you can probably attest to this, but if they can go deep, they can be real dicks. Like, there's no other way to describe it. But if they can go deep, and especially like they would, the first one I hooked, he came up and took a breath, and because they breathe like humans, the fish come up and took a breath, and Richie just went. I go, "What?" He goes, "That's 15 more minutes at least." I was like, "Are you serious?" And he saw me kind of like relaxing a little bit, and he goes, "If you take a break on that fish is taking a break too. You can't.
There's no stopping.
None. Zero." And so it was like 35 or 40 minutes I fought this fish, and ultimately it broke a 6 off. There's nothing else I could have done. It just broke the hook, and I sat down for a minute, and I was done. I didn't want to look at a rod, nothing, for like at least 10 minutes, And his question to me was, "Now, how does that compare to GT fishing?" And I said, "I will tell you right now that I would rather do this than any other fishing in the world. I don't care, tuna, GTs, tarpon, and so it is still true for me to this day, is the greatest sport fishing there is.
I love tarpon fishing.
They do everything. They jump, they run deep, they take off on you. They're just and I don't know, you may not know this about me, but I do not eat seafood.
Really?
If it breathes underwater, I don't eat it. I don't eat lobster, I don't eat clams, I don't eat any fish at all. So I'm pure catch and release. The one exception to that is that if I'm traveling, and you are the same, I know, we eat whatever is put in front of us. We don't ask questions, nothing, because it's rude. But when I went to the Bahamas and I was there for 6 days, and 5 days, all they fed me was fish. 5 days straight. When I got back, I could not. The first thing I did was I went and got a Whopper at Burger King.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I know this is awful, but I don't care. All I want is red meat right now. I've got it. This is like, ugh.
Now,
But yeah, so
Oliver Taylor.
I don't keep anything.
Oliver Taylor is asking, where's your top place to fish outside of the United States?
I hate saying, like, when people ask, what's your, like, I don't like number ones. I like top five. So I'll give you my top five.
Give me your top five.
Andros, Bahamas.
Okay.
Beautiful. No place like it. Indonesia. Fishing down there for GTs. I would say Guatemala is amazing. It's scary, but beautiful. Australia is incredible, especially if you go like now, like in their winter, because it's really mild, moderate. Man, one more. If I had to choose just one, you know what? I'm going to give you a little known one. Anguilla. Anguilla has some amazing fishing, and dude, it's
cool.
And it's one of the shortest boat rides you'll take to get there. Their ledge is only like maybe 500 yards offshore, so you don't have to make a big giant run to get to their tuna grounds, and their fish are resident. So you can catch yellowfin on topwater pretty much all year long down there.
Anguilla's pretty cool. I don't know. For me, I love Australia. Australia was just unbelievable. I love every year to Nova Scotia. It's one of the things I look forward to. But it's not just the fishing; it's the people. And growing up from Florida, I've never seen the seasons change, the leaves change until I went to Nova Scotia. So
beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm kind of spoiled with that here in upstate. It's gorgeous here. It really is. But you mentioned the people. The people in Bali, in Indonesia, were the most incredible people I've ever met. I cried when I left there, just because it really touched me that they have. That is some of the poorest people I've ever seen, but wealth beyond compare when it comes to kindness and just being emotionally happy. They don't feel like they're lacking for anything. So
it's funny you say that. I've had the great pleasure of traveling so many places all over the world, and I remember the first time I went to Nicaragua. And like you said, you look at people, but you are looking at it through the eyes of an American person who lives in the United States, and you know what's out there. And I don't want to say that we take a lot of things for granted.
We do, though.
Yeah, we do. But I don't want to get into that conversation. But
no.
Listen, whatever we have, and I know a lot of people, and I know I'm guilty of it. Oh, I want to get this. Well, if you don't know what this is, and you just look at what you have and appreciate every little bit of it. Like you say, they're so poor, but truth is, that is their world, and they make the best out of it. And that's the biggest issue that I see with a lot of people. And I know I talk with my girlfriend a lot about this: is living in the moment. Don't worry about what we're going to accomplish. Like you're talking, hey, we're going to get back to traveling. This is going to go away. But what about, okay, so we're locked up. You know, since we've been locked up, I've created this podcast. I've gotten the chance to talk to some of the greatest fishermen all over the world. All over the world. And have these conversations and share it with everybody. And when we first started this whole podcast thing, I was with 2 cell phones in my parking lot. Or in my driveway. Now I've got cameras, I've got Marlin, I've got all kinds of stuff behind me. I've created a home studio, and literally I'm in a 10 by 10 square. It's not big, but you know what? I love it. I love it every day. I wake up and my eyes start opening up, and it's like, let's get the day started. Now, mind you, I'm not going fishing as many places because of what's going on. But I get to talk to fishermen all over the world. All over the world. I get an hour opportunity to talk to you. The last 2 weeks I've put on these tournaments, and I've been talking to people in New Zealand. I've been talking to people in Madeira. I've been talking to people in Russia, in Hawaii. And we all have this same thing in common. We love to go fishing. So because of this opportunity, and really that's the way I describe it, it's an opportunity. I would have been flying all over the world, trying to do as much as I possibly can. But because I've been forced to sit still, I've used all my connections, and I've been able to branch out even more than I could have if I was flying all over the world. I was on pace to have just under 250,000 miles this year.
Wow.
250,000 miles.
That's a lot of airtime.
That's a lot of airtime. Let's put it this way. I quit flying March 12th. I had 71,000 miles.
Wow.
Already for the year. So, it's caused me to slow down and look. And is it tough? Damn straight it's tough. I talk to a lot of people. I see a lot of people. I go out. They're afraid. They don't know what's going on. Listen, I've do the best with what you can. You know, you can't leave your state.
Pretty much.
But I think now you guys are allowed to go out and go fishing.
Yeah. We've always been able to fish. State-run boat launches were closed for like maybe 10 days, but private ones were open. So, and a lot of people already had boats that were already docked. So, fishing is pretty much. Guys weren't allowed to guide for maybe 5 or 6 weeks, but it's for the most part now. I don't think there's any restriction on fishing right now in New York, which is good. I did hear that a record 51 million fishing licenses were sold this year. It's the highest number of fishing licenses in the United States in like the last more than 20 years. Fishing had been on a steady decline, and now it's like skyrocketed back into the forefront, and that is great to hear. So there's always a silver lining, right?
There's always a silver lining. There's always a silver lining, and that's the way you got to look at it. I mean, I talked to my cousin the other day, who's not a very big fisherman. He's by no means. I think it's something that he probably does 4 times a year. But he lives in Oregon. He got laid off. So what's he doing? He's going out fishing with his son every day. He's going out to all the rivers. The only issue he's having now is he can't find tackle.
So I've heard that too. There are some places I know, like, so there are a lot of baits that are made in the U.S. For the most part, those companies are still able to produce and ship. Some of them, their like factories were shut down for a little bit. I know Michigan Stinger had some issues with that. Their factory had to close. Then they were able to reopen. Um, there are bait shops out there though that do have stuff. So, Fat Nancy's is a great resource. They have a ton of stuff. They've actually got a ton of Shimano stuff too, and Shimano had an issue where they couldn't get product. So anybody that was able to get their product in before the shutdown happened, they've been pretty good. But if you weren't able to get your stuff before like February 1st, then especially if you were like getting stuff from some of these wholesale distributors like Triple S and places like that weren't able to ship anything at all for like maybe 2 or 3 months, it's been challenging.
It's been crazy. Now, Perry Mitchell's asking a question. He said this is for both of us.
All right.
What is your favorite offshore sport fishing boat and why and what size?
I don't know. Man, that's tough. I got to think about that for a minute. What about you?
Oh, did I get lost? Look at that. I just got dropped on one of my cameras. Today we're just having bad. Watch that. Whack. Let's see if I got that one back on. Okay, I got a different camera on. Always have a backup, brother. Always have a backup. And I think we swapped screens from one side to another. Don't ask me what happened there, but the audio's still going. That's all that matters. So I won't answer that question because, and it's not because I don't want to. It's all dependent on what I'm trying to do,
Yeah.
and what I'm fishing for, and where I'm fishing. Do I have certain things that I really like? Certain boats that I really like? Absolutely. But truth be told, it's if I'm sail fishing and I'm kite fishing, I want a certain kind of boat. If I'm light tackle fishing after some world records, I want something else. If I'm going to be somewhere where it's going to be rough and I want to be comfortable, it's yet still something else. So, if let's say I'm down in the Keys chasing tailors, yet still something else. So
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't have a favorite. I want the best for what I'm going after. So it's hard for me to say this is my favorite size. This is my favorite boat because it's all depending. It's all depending on what I'm trying to accomplish. So, you know what I got to do? I got this is pretty funny. You can't see it, and I'm gonna swap cameras. Once the camera shut down, I looked over on Facebook, and it was my face over your name, Jim Root, and you were Fly. So,
Nice.
Scott Edgar. The perfect boat is 3 boats. Yeah, exactly. You need 3
Yeah.
boats.
Yeah.
Scott, you know what? You really should. You should meet Scott. Scott has a great charter business out of Ketchikan, Alaska.
Nice.
He
Oh my
does.
God.
He's
So,
he's trying to get me to go up there. Which listen, I'm all for it. Once we can jump on planes and go traveling again.
yeah, and it's funny because I've never been to Alaska, and I was supposed to spend the first 12 days of August, including my birthday, there filming, and that, of course, has been
Wait a
uh,
second. When's your birthday?
August 11th.
8th.
Oh,
August
man.
8th.
So, yeah, nice.
Where in Alaska were you going?
So, I'd have to look it back up, but I know that I was gonna go and fish around the grizzly bears.
Okay. Up by like Kodiak Island?
I gotta look and see, but it wasn't the. So there's one river that's like the river that everyone knows about to do that,
The
but there's
Ke-
a second.
the
Yeah,
Kenai.
yeah, the Kenai. But there's another one that I guess is supposed to be as good, if not better, where you don't see as many people, but you still get that whole experience of like being around the bears and stuff like that. And I know it may sound crazy to some people, but it's a dream of mine to stand there
With the bears and
in
go
the
fishing.
yeah, and see those giant man-eating grizzly bears around you and fishing around them. I just think that may be like the pinnacle for me.
So, I think it was 2 years ago, we went to Alaska. My girlfriend, myself, we went to Kenai, we went to Seward, went to Homer, and while we were on the Kenai, we took a hike up towards the Russian River. And what we ended up doing is we took the back road up the Russian, and then we fished our way down. So as we're taking the back road up, that's the main traveled, and you see all these people. They've got their bear spray, they got the bells, they got the guns. People walking around with these giant guns, and and on her backpack, she's got the little bell, and gling 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 gling. So when we finally get up to the waterfalls where we're going to start walking back down and fish our way down, we get off the beaten path, and it wasn't long. It was like 4 or 5 minutes into it, she loses the bell. She loses the bell. So she's like, I gotta have the bell. They're gonna hear us coming, and I'm like, okay. So I have to avert a disaster before it happens. So I said, babe, let's really look at this. I go, when they find these big piles of poop from the bears, they all have little bells in them. She's like, what? I go, the bells are like dinner bells. So that's the people that are eating, is the people that are carrying the bells. You don't want the bells with you. Research shows that
No,
grizzly bear poop has bells in it. So the best thing that happened was, it's the
tell me
fact.
she bought that. Tell me she bought it.
Listen, she dates me, so she knows that you don't believe half this shit that's coming out of my mouth.
Oh man.
The whole trick. Here's the deal. If I am, not to believe anything I'm saying if my lips are moving. If my lips are moving, don't believe it. Wait a second. Scott Edgar is saying, happy upcoming birthdays to you too. Thanks for the mention at Real Alaska Charters. And he just landed an IGFA pending world record for flounder this week on a halibut trip out of Ketchikan.
Congrats.
That's pretty cool. And
Nice.
Oliver Taylor from the Real Nomads out of the UK is watching too. He's a
What's up, man?
I'm a big fan of his. He's a big fan. He has his own fishing show there. He's trying to come here to Florida to do some peacock bass fishing. Hi, Mom. Joan McGilvery, all the way from Nova Scotia, joining in. So yeah, he wants to come over here to Florida and do some peacock bass fishing.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that's the story of the brown bear, of the grizzly bear. Listen, you can't believe anything I say. I'm a fisherman, for Christ's sakes. All right? So when I first started fishing, I had this older captain. I say older captain. He's in his 80s now, but he was in his mid to late 60s. He tells me, he goes, now listen, Fly, don't ever let the truth get in the way of a good story. And let me tell you, I'm a firm believer in that. If you got a good story, you just run with it.
Yeah.
You just
Exactly.
run with it. You don't stop it. You just tell that good story. So I'm a firm believer in. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I'd like to go to Ketchikan and fish with Scott. I also, my friend Andy Misero, he's invited me to come up next year to go. He's out of Seward, Alaska, and he's invited me to go up to one of his lodges that they go way back up in there, and then they stay at the lodge instead of staying in Seward, and you're just kind of, it's like an outpost at that point.
Yeah.
So it's definitely I like anything different. I love to do. I mean, I love all the giant blue marlin fishing I do and the giant tuna fishing and all that, but I love trying something different that's totally out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, one of my like bucket list trips that I've been dying to take is to go to Montana, and there's a 10-day like horseback ride, fly fishing camp that I'm just absolutely dying to do. My two favorite things in the world outside of being a father are horseback riding and fishing. And I've been saying for a while, if I do this trip, I may never come back. But if I get to do those two things that I love the most at the same time, I may just like establish residency out there in Montana or something.
I'll tell you what, a lot of people that go out there don't come back.
Yeah, I've been out to. I fished the Gallen Gateway, and I was out there, and it really is beautiful. It's for me, just driving down the road and seeing a herd of elk is and that's not used to that.
They're tasty.
I'm sure they are.
They're tasty.
But that kind of wildlife, we don't see that here in New York every day. That's for sure.
No, it's New York, but you guys have great whitetail hunting up there.
We do. New York is a great place. It really is. I love the state. It's beautiful. It's people who haven't been here. It's not just one big city. That's a giant misconception. It's actually like very remote. We have a lot of, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of just wilderness that's dedicated forever wild that, you're not even allowed to bring motorized stuff in there. No chainsaws. It's all,
wow.
It'll be left that way basically forever. So I love New York.
That's pretty cool. And a lot of people don't realize that most of New York is like that. They hear New York, they think of the city.
Yeah, and the city is nice too. Especially right now. I'm not by any means encouraging people to go there. Don't get me wrong, but I have been a couple of times, and it's empty. It smells better than I think it ever has in my life. Normally this time of year, it has a very distinct smell. It's not very pleasant. It smells like a combination of sweat, trash, and humidity put into a smoothie machine. But right now it's cleaner than I've ever seen it. It smells amazing. I actually stood in the middle of Fifth Avenue in front of Saks and took a picture facing both directions. There was not a single car that you could see.
Wow.
It's a little scary for some, but to me, I think that it's an opportunity to experience the city in a way that we probably never will again. So
I bet you're right. My brother lives in Astoria, Queens, so
you're getting all of the intel.
I'm getting all the intel. I'm getting all the intel. So it's the city is different than upstate.
Very, very. And a lot of people left the city and came up here and have started to build, change their summer homes into more permanent residences, and have said they're not going to go back down to the city for a while. So,
with all these Zooms and teleconferences and all that, you don't have to be in your office anymore. You can get work done anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're going to do it, you might as well do it where you enjoy it and you're having fun. It's relaxing. And if you don't have to commute, You know,
Definitely.
it's a huge thing. If you don't have to commute, my longest commute of the day is the 20 feet I go from my room to here. But I always stop at the coffee pot and make
Oh
sure I
yeah.
grab. Yeah, I gotta
Dude, for
get.
a while, my coffee pot was in here so that I didn't even have to leave. It's like, you do what you got to do, you know?
Hey, exactly. Exactly. You know, it's so funny because, and again, I told you we've set up the studio and we started outside. And at first I was just t shirts. Now I go a collared shirt. Um, Even when I called you beforehand just to make sure everything's working, I was working in my t shirt and board shorts and flip flops. And now I just put on a
Yeah.
collared shirt and I still have the board shorts and flip flops.
Yeah, and I had on a fishing shirt too, and then I changed into this Zara shirt. People don't know this, but during this quarantine, I've been low key modeling for Zara, and when I say low key, I mean Zara doesn't even know it yet. However, I have, but yeah, I hear you, and that's one of my favorite parts about being at home is just what you said, being able to just you know work in flip flops and not have to make these long commutes, no traffic. Just, this is my office.
It's so funny because I was telling my girlfriend the other day that I'm almost missing London Heathrow Airport. Last year, 2019, I was in London Heathrow 11 times.
Wow.
11 times because it was the connection. And it was starting to become the connection as much as Dallas or Charlotte was to me. And this year I've
Huh.
only been in there twice.
Interesting. Yeah, my two favorite airports are probably ABP, which most people aren't aware of. It's Scranton Wilkes-Barre. It's an international airport, but it's really, really great. And the other one is MCO.
Oh,
I just love
Orlando,
it.
Orlando.
Yeah, I love it. I do. I love the piano player that's always there in the center. And I know exactly where the Starbucks are all over the place. That's my big, uh, addiction is Starbucks. I've been known to drive like 35 minutes out of my way just to hit one, and get like multiple triple tall Americanos so that I can proceed throughout the rest of my journey.
To me, it's all dependent where I'm at. If I'm going to get the Starbucks, like when I fly out of West Palm, I'll get the Starbucks. And West Palm Airport for me. If I'm going overseas, it's always West Palm. But if I'm going to Central or South America, I go to Miami because it's direct. And
Yeah.
if I'm going to have coffee, I'm just going to go into the lounge and have a cup of
Are you gonna
coffee.
get a cortadito?
Oh my God, I have way too many of those, bro. So I have the Cuban coffee pot right here in my house. Did you see the picture I posted on Instagram
No.
the other day? I have this picture. I wonder if you might not be able to see. I just come back from Japan and I stayed in Kona for a week to fish a tournament, and it was me, the whole Grundens team. We had Wild Bill, and I have my Cuban coffee pot because I carry it with me everywhere I'm at. So I had a can of Bustelo, and we wrapped it up in vinyl skirts and made a lure out of
Oh my God. Tell me you got bid on it.
it. We didn't put it out, but it
Oh,
was a great photo op. It was a great
yeah,
photo op. I should have gotten stock in that company as much as I've drank of that stuff.
yeah.
As much as I've
I
drank,
That's
I
true.
I drink a lot of coffee.
So I took a screenshot of my Starbucks app when I hit 10,000 stars because that a lot of people don't understand when they disappear after like 90 days. So if you don't use them, you lose them. So to accumulate 10,000 stars in a 3 month period of time is an insane amount of coffee.
That is a lot. You know what? Here's a great question. Does Starbucks taste different in different countries?
No, you want to know why? I know the answer to this.
Go ahead.
So part of having a Starbucks franchise or your own store means you have to get their filtering system that they use. So every cup of coffee tastes the exact same no matter where you are, because otherwise it would taste different because of different minerals and different acidity levels in the water. But because they're all using the same filtering system, it doesn't matter if you're in Indonesia, South America, or Seattle. Every cup of Starbucks tastes the exact same.
Well, that's good to know. It's crazy because I've had Starbucks in just about every single country. I've had it in Hong Kong. I've had it in Japan. I've had it Saudi Arabia. You name it. Dubai, Egypt, and you're right. It all tastes the same. Oh, I gotta give some love. Hold on. Richard Gunn, Lucas Oil. My man Richard. I got to give Richard some love. I talked to him the other day. He's like, hey, man, do you need any product? So when we first started this is pretty funny. So when I first created this office, I grabbed this chair, hadn't used it in years, and it was so squeaky. It's starting to get a little squeaky again. Well, I went in and I got my Lucas Oil gun oil. And I put a couple drops in it because everybody was complaining, Flaw, you're driving me crazy with the squeaking chair.
Well, if you're going to mention Lucas, we should give a shout out to Brad Lutz too, because I haven't spoken to Brad in quite a while. So
we'll give. Hey, Richard, make sure. Actually, that's right. It was Richard it was Brad that introduced us.
Yeah,
it was Brad that introduced us. And I'm trying to think where we were talking about. I think we were at ICAST, and he's like, "Man, you gotta meet Jim Root. Do you know Jim Root?" I'm like, "No, I don't know Jim Root, but give me his number. I'll call him up." And I'm not afraid, man. I'll pick up a phone and I'll call anybody.
Yeah, same here. And so I don't know if people know this about you, but you're one of those people that it's so great. If you don't. I have some friends. I don't want to name names, but some of them are like just emotionally high maintenance. They require X number of text or phone calls. We all have them, right? We still love them, but you are not like that. I will not talk to you sometimes shamefully for 3 or 4 months, and then I'll just send you a text and I'll be like, hey,
I need
my
this.
buddy's going to the DR and he needs a guide. Who should he reach out to? And then every single time, I don't care where you are, within 24 hours, you'll at least text me back, hey, I'm in the middle of BF, I'll get back to you within a couple days. And you always do, and you get back to me with a list of names. They're always legit. I always know if you're sending me someone that it's someone I can count on, and that's, there's no such thing as a guarantee in fishing, but at least I know that the people I'm going with, are not going to be jokers.
Yeah,
right?
they're not going to be crooked.
Right.
I'm very, very tight with my contacts, and I want to make sure before I recommend. And sometimes I don't know somebody. I remember the time when you introduced me to Leanne, and you're like, I need a boat in. It was somewhere down island, like St. Lucia, and I'm like, hold on, give me a, and it was the same thing. It was right at Christmas time. It was like the 23rd of December. She wanted to go fishing, so. And I have contacts throughout the whole island chain, but it's not on all the islands. And for people who've never been, sometimes these islands are only 6 miles away. So I contacted my people in Grenada and Trinidad and St. Martin, all over the place. And I'm like, hey, I'm looking for somebody that can go fishing day after tomorrow. And so they ended up sending me 2 or 3 numbers, and then I sent them off to you. But that's, that's how it works. I mean, you want to go fishing, you go fishing. I mean, sometimes it's easier if I have more time, but sometimes I don't have time. Sometimes, hey, I've had one friend of mine. I just got off the cruise ship with my wife. I have to go fishing. Do you know anybody on this island? I go, when do you want to go? Oh, I'm only here for 8 hours. Really?
Oh,
and you're texting me now? Seriously?
Those are the best.
But I try not to be one of those high maintenance friends. But at the same time, I'm very very big with. I always manage all of my contacts, meaning I always try to, if I see somebody's name as I'm scrolling through, like you may ask me, hey, do you know somebody in this spot? And I scroll through and I say, oh, I haven't talked to them in a while. Hey, man, saw your name, just want to see what's up. And then I keep on going.
Yeah.
Or same thing on social media. I don't have a lot of time to consume it, but if I'm looking for something and I see somebody's doing something, I jump in there and say, hey man, what's going on? Or send them a private DM. Birthdays, I'm not one of those guys that is going to post on your wall, happy birthday. I'm going to send you a private message or a text message. Hey man, see it's your birthday. Just thinking of you. And move on. So, because, I think it's important. I think it's important, especially with the kind of stuff that I know I do, that I'm flying all over the place. I know what it's like. It doesn't bother me. I'm glad that I'm the person that people think of. Hey, somebody wants to go fishing in this spot. In Tonga. Do you know somebody? Just so happens I do.
Yeah.
Chucky Moore says, "Yeah, you definitely would have made a good politician."
Yeah.
I try to stay in touch with everybody, and I always, when somebody reaches out, and because as a fisherman, and I was never in the military, even though I'm very regimented on certain things, but as a fisherman, you never leave your fishermen out there if they need a hand, and I don't have to be out on the boat or out in the ocean. If a friend calls me up and says, hey man, I'm looking for this place, I want to go fishing. Do you know somebody? Here, call this guy. Same thing with shout outs. I'm really big, a lot of these guys, they have charter boats, and in this time and age, they need as many shout outs as possible. And I want to make sure I give everybody as much airtime as they possibly can get.
Definitely.
Are we checking text messages?
No, I just am making sure that I'm not running over on my.
Well, I know.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
I know we're gonna have to wrap up here any minute because I got a 4:30.
Yeah, me too. That's what mine is.
Well,
I was like, I hope it's 4:30 and not 4:15. But yeah, it's 4:30.
Yeah, mine's 4:30. But that'll give us a chance to wrap up here. But you don't hang up. Everybody, I want to say thank you so much. Hit that share button. And for anybody that doesn't know, all of these now no BS's are getting broadcast on Spotify, on iTunes, on Alexa, Echo. So we finally got it up on everything. So if you missed any part of this, you can watch it back on Facebook. You can watch the video version on YouTube, or you can check it out on any of your favorite podcast broadcasts. So, Jim, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, man.
I really appreciate
great
it.
To talk. Yeah.
It was really, really good to talk. And everybody, thank you so much to all you cool cats and kittens. I think I have somebody lined up for tomorrow. If not, I know I definitely have somebody lined up for Wednesday. And I know we took 2 weeks off, or 2.5 weeks, while we had these 3 tournaments I had going on. I had to make sure I had got them going straight. But now we're back. And we're going to keep it going and keep talking that same no bullshit that everybody likes to talk about. So, all righty, peeps. I will check you guys out later. Thank you, Jim. Stay right there.